Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the key on millions.co. Here is my media feed. Here is my profile so that you will know it's me. And here is my merchandise. We will have new merchandise that will be going out this month. We had three new shirts that we created last month, and we are going to be creating more shirts and more apparel for everybody that is watching. So, today I am doing my Outlook series for NBA teams, and the team that I am focused on today is the Oklahoma City Thunder and the reigning defending NBA champion. So right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they are 39-11, tops in the West, and have one of the best records, if not the best record, in the NBA. But there's just some things that I have been watching over the last 5 to 6 weeks when it comes to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the team shows a lot of signs of weaknesses. But first, I'm going to start off with their roster. And their roster is here's who's all on their roster: Brox Barheinzer, Braden Carlson, Alex Caruso, Ozami Dean, Lugez Dort, Shea Gillis Alexander, Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Joe, AJ Mitchell, Thomas Sorber, Nicola Topic, Kason Wallace, Jalen Williams, Kenrick Williams, Chris Youngblood, and the head coach is Mark Danigolt. So now, last season, OKC won the championship, first championship in franchise history. If you are not, if you are not, if you are not talking about their Seattle Supersonic days, first in franchise history. But now we get to the point where we are almost at the midway point of the season. All Star break is right around the corner. I believe All Star break is in another week and a half. So we pretty much know who is fighting for a playoff spot now and who is not going to be in the playoffs come March and April. Now, one thing about this is the statistics for Oklahoma. See, Oklahoma, they have been balanced throughout the entirety of this season, and they were balanced throughout the entirety of last season, as you can see. Now, when it comes to, we all know that the leader of the Oklahoma City Thunder is Shea Gillis Alexander. And you all can see that he's played every game this season. He's averaged 32 points. Chet Holmgren, he's averaged 17.7 points. Jay Williams, 16.8. AJ Mitchell, 14.1. Isaiah Hartenstein, 10.9. And A. Wiggins, 10.6. Isaiah Joe, 9.6. Lugez Dort, 8.6. Kason Wallace, 7.8. K. Williams, 6.3 points. Alex Caruso, 6.1 points. Jalen Williams, 5.6 points. Brandon Carlson, 4.9 points. Ozami Dean, 3.8. Chris Youngblood, 1.9. And B. Barnheiser, 1.1. So, Oklahoma City Thunder, I'm going to tell you all that their schedule throughout the first start of their schedule, as you can see right here, I'm just going to focus on the first 24 games. Now, the first 24 games, they only lost one game, and that was against Portland on November 5th. I believe versus Portland, they just had a bad shooting night. Bad shooting night, that's all. But then when we get to the Spurs, now, the Spurs have given Oklahoma City trouble. Now, I'm going to tell you all something about the matchup versus the Spurs and the Thunder. Now, if that comes down to a 7 game series, if that's the Western Conference Finals, because that may be a Western Conference Finals preview, can the Spurs some way, somehow find a way to win in Oklahoma City? Possibly 2 games? Because they might have to win 2 games in order to make it to the NBA Finals. But that's just a potential Western Conference Finals preview. But I'm going to tell y'all something. The San Antonio Spurs, they are not fazed by the Oklahoma City Thunder. As you can see, Oklahoma, they've already lost to the Spurs 3 times on December 13th, December 23rd, and Christmas Day. And then you had uncharacteristic losses when it comes to the Oklahoma City Thunder lately, because Phoenix, you lose to Phoenix. Then you get blown out by Charlotte. Nobody saw that one coming. Then you lose to Miami the middle part of last month. A couple weeks ago, you lose to Indiana and Toronto. Now, Toronto, they are a good team. I did a segment on them last week. And then you lose, a few days ago, you lose to Minnesota. But last night, you win versus Denver. Now, tomorrow night, you have the Orlando Magic. I did a segment on the Orlando Magic last week. If you go to my YouTube channel or any platform that I'm on, you can see where I did my Orlando Magic segment. So one thing that I'm going to say about the Oklahoma City Thunder, they are a team that shows very little weaknesses, but only one team in the NBA has attacked that consistently, and that is the San Antonio Spurs, because we all know that the San Antonio Spurs, they have Victor Wembanyama. So they have Victor Wembanyama, and you make what the Spurs have done. They have made the best player on the Thunder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they have made him play both sides of the court, make him defend, and he's not very efficient with the San Antonio Spurs as he is with everybody else. See, the Spurs, they are the type of team, they are not going to let you just shoot 20 to 25 times and make and be very efficient and make 17 out of the 25 shots. No, they are going to make you. What the Spurs are trying to do with the Thunder, they are trying to make the game as close as they can make it, and then the last few minutes of the fourth quarter take over the game. So now when we get to the remaining part of the schedule for the Oklahoma City Thunder, we see that they have Orlando tomorrow night. Wednesday, they have San Antonio, Houston, LA, the Los Angeles Lakers, Phoenix. They have Phoenix on the 11th. Then on February 12th, you have Milwaukee. Now, Milwaukee, they're not going to go anywhere no time soon. You have Brooklyn. You got a couple of layups with Milwaukee and Brooklyn. You get to Cleveland, Toronto. This 4-game slate, with starting off with Cleveland, is going to be tough for OKC, because you have Cleveland, Toronto, Detroit, and Denver, all teams who are going to make the playoffs. And you also have, for the month of March, you have Chicago, who will be a play-in team, New York, Golden State probably make the play-in, Denver, I just said Denver is going to be a playoff team, Boston, playoff team, Minnesota, playoff team, Orlando, play-in tournament. They'll be playing in the play-in tournament. And then when we get to April, you play the Lakers twice within 5 days. You play Utah, you play the Clippers, Denver, and Phoenix. So one well, the finality, one thing I'm going to say about the finality of my segment, and this segment is probably not going to be long because this is only a short segment. But what I'm going to say is the Oklahoma City Thunder have the best odds at making the NBA Finals, and they have the best odds at winning the NBA Finals. Because one thing I can say is when we look at their depth, here's their depth. We are going to start off with the starters. Their starting lineup: Shea Gildress-Alexander, Lugas Dort, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, and Isaiah Hartenstein. That was the lineup that led them to the championship last year, and I have no doubt in my mind that that is going to be the lineup that is going to lead them to the championship this year. Now, second unit: AJ Mitchell, Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, Aaron Wiggins, and Jalen Williams. And then you see where OKC, they have the best starting lineup, the best second unit, and bench production for the Oklahoma City is the best in the NBA. You can see it. You can see their statistics. You can see as far as when we get to shooting, here are their shooting statistics for every player. And we all know that Shea Gildress-Alexander is one of the most efficient scorers in the NBA and on the Oklahoma City Thunder. So we get to injuries. Here are injuries for the Oklahoma City Thunder: Alex Caruso out, AJ Mitchell out on January 19th. Jalen Williams, he still remains out. And these last two were earlier on in the season, but they have made it back to the lineup for OKC. So the finality of this will be when it comes to where I see Oklahoma. I see Oklahoma getting at least, I'm going to say, 65 to 68 wins in this season, making the playoffs. And once we get to the playoffs, here is the Western Conference as a whole. Now, the winner of the play-in tournament, which is currently constructed right now, the play-in tournament would be Phoenix Suns versus the Portland Trailblazers, and the Golden State Warriors would play the LA Clippers. That is currently constructed on February 2nd, Monday, February 2nd. But it doesn't really matter who plays the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think that there isn't a team that is going to be able to beat Oklahoma 4 times within a 7-game series. Now, the Spurs, like I said earlier on, they have a fighting chance. But right now, I just do not see. I see Oklahoma repeating as the champions, and going into next season, they could possibly get them a three-peat. I can, because on this list for the Western Conference, who stands a chance at beating the Oklahoma City Thunder in a playoff series? I mean, San Antonio, they are going to give Oklahoma a run for their money. But do you see Denver doing anything? No, I don't see Denver doing anything. Do you see Houston doing anything? I'm going to do a segment on the Denver Nuggets and Houston in the coming weeks. Minnesota, I don't see them. That's another team in Minnesota that could give Oklahoma a run for their money. But in the end, Minnesota, they are a one-man show, and Anthony Edwards, he is going to need some help no matter what. The Lakers, Lakers, that is one team that is a diamond in the rough right now. And you don't know what you are going to see from the Lakers on a night in, night out basis. So, Lakers are a huge question mark when it comes to trying to defend on the defensive side of the court when it comes to playing versus Oklahoma. Phoenix Suns, I really don't know about the Phoenix Suns because we all know that the Phoenix Suns are going through a tough time right now. They cannot get a top pick in the draft until 2030. So it's these next 3 years for the Phoenix Suns are just going to be they're just gonna try to keep their head above water. That's all you can say. They're just gonna try and keep their head above water. For the Golden State Warriors, I mean, it's almost like it's Steph Curry for the Warriors, and it seems like there's nobody else. For the Clippers over the weekend, we all found out that Paul George is having a 25-game suspension because of his drug use, allegedly drug use of the NBA anti-drug policy. Now, I'm happy that I put that on the rundown because what we need to do for no what the NBA needs to do as far as talking about an anti-drug policy and informing the players, they need to clarify what the players should do and what they shouldn't do because before the season starts, I already have clarity of this that every player in the NBA, and not just in the NBA, but in every sport, before the season starts, every player gets a list of what you can and can't do when it comes to the anti-drug policy, whether it's for the NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB, or whatever league you are in. But somehow it seems like that it seems like the NBA is in a time right now where they're pretty much nitpicking and being petty over the actions that these NBA players are doing off the court. Now, I know that there are some medicine and there are some type of drugs that are able to make the person feel better and that can reduce time if they do have an injury or not. But the NBA, they've got to be they've got to give more clarification on their rules and regulations when it comes to the anti-drug policy. So Paul George, man, hopefully you come back and you are able to be efficient, more efficient than you were at the start of the season because Paul George, he really hasn't been efficient all season. Now, who knows, probably the high scoring game that he just recently had with 45 points and a double double and stuff, that probably raised some eyebrows for the NBA to all of a sudden give him a random drug test. So who knows? And then we look at the Portland Trailblazers. Now, Portland Trailblazers, they are one team in the West that really nobody covers because we know that they are not going to be in the playoffs. And the way it's looking, they are in the play-in tournament. If the playoffs were to start today, the Trailblazers would be playing the Suns, and we all know that the Suns would beat the Trailblazers, and the Suns would either face Oklahoma City or they would face the San Antonio Spurs. They would. But all in all, once we get back to, let me get back to the Oklahoma City Thunder. The only kryptonite that I see with the Oklahoma City Thunder is the San Antonio Spurs. That's all I see. Because I'm going to give you all who is all on the Spurs roster, and I'm gonna do a segment on the Spurs roster in the coming weeks. But the San Antonio Spurs roster is Harrison Barnes, Bismack Biyombo, Carter Bryant, Stephon Castle, Julian Champagne, De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, Harrison Ingram, Keldon Johnson, Davis Jones Garcia, Luke Cornett, Jordan McLaughlin, Kelly Olynyk, Jeremy Schoen, Stanley Adume, Devin Vassell, Lindy Waters III, and we all know who is the leading scorer for the San Antonio Spurs, Victor Wembanyama. Now, there are 4 guys that are on this roster that can guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, you're not really going to stop. You're not really going to stop Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You can just only hope to neutralize him, because you're not even going to be able to contain him, because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he is going to get his 25 to 30 points per game. But one thing that the Spurs are focusing on is not having SGA be as efficient with other teams, because there are some nights where I see SGA, he can go 15 or 23 and have 28 points. And then there are some nights where AKA the Spurs can have him have a bad shooting night where he's shooting 8 of 29 and only having 16 points in a game. So the Spurs are the Thunder's kryptonite, and let's see what is going to happen the final 7 weeks of the NBA season, because we are getting down to the nitty-gritty time. Playoff seeding is already underway. If the playoffs were to start today, this is what we would see in both the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. But can anybody, and I do mean can anybody, actually beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in a 7-game series? That is the $1 million question for every NBA fan base in America right now. Because we all know that OKC is the top dog. But who can get on the same level as OKC? And I'm not just marginalizing this question to the West. Can anybody in the East beat the OKC Thunder 4 times in a 7-game series? Who knows? Could we see the Pistons and the Thunder in the NBA Finals? Could we see the Thunder or the New York Knicks in the finals? Could we see the Celtics or the Thunder in the finals? Those are the potential finals matchups that we could see, and are the odds-on favorite to make it to the NBA Finals. The top 3 teams in the Western Conference all have a chance at making the NBA Finals, and the top 3 teams in the East all have a chance at making the NBA Finals. So, let's see who can upset the Oklahoma City Thunder, if there's any team that can. But all in all, that is my remaining season outlook for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I will be doing a segment tomorrow on the Cleveland Cavaliers. And currently right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers are 5th in the Eastern Conference right now. So please, 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 before I sign off, please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube. Key City Sports, also Key City Sports on Instagram, where you can see all of my segments clips and other videos. And please do not forget millions.co. We have merchandise on millions.co. Here is my live merchandise. We have shirts, we have hoodies. We are also going to have sweaters on millions.co. We are going to roll that new merchandise out at the end of this month. Here is my profile so that you will know it's me, so that you always know that you are getting the right information when it comes to Keytime Sports. Here is my profile on Millions. Here is my media feed for all of my different segments, clips, and sound bites from previous shows and from the entirety of the NFL season and the NFL playoffs. And remember, everybody, one last thing, the key is always on time.